I'm Judith Regan, the mother of a 13-year-old daughter and a 23-year-old son. I'm a single parent, divorced, and a working mother. I know the hopes, the dreams, and the difficulties parents face. For this program, I went on a personal search to understand what childhood is about in America today.
We're raising a generation of emotionally stunted children.
Straight talk from our experts may surprise you, but their advice can make you a better parent.
I'd like to see parents reconsider their lifestyle.
I'd say flatly that pills are just not the answer to our kids' problems. I mean, we're the answer.
Did I work too much? And I get rated as a mom by my son, Patrick.
Well, probably more difficult was that you were just always cranky because you were working so hard, but...
I wasn't always cranky.
The important thing about this show, and the important thing that people need to really understand, is that how we raise our children defines who we are as a nation. It impacts every one of us every minute of the day, as children, as parents, as neighbors, as co-workers, as people living together in a society. I began my search at a California middle school where concerned parents had gathered to exchange ideas with Dr. Robert Shaw. A noted child and family psychiatrist and a father himself, in his 76 years, Dr. Shaw has witnessed great and troubling changes in the American family.
But the parents are too busy to spend any time with the child. So this is played out in a placation of the child or an indulgence of the child.
I want to talk about that because a lot of parents will say it does take time, or they're single parents and they're doing it all on their own and they don't have a partner to help. How do you deal with that?
What I say to them is, look, you have to understand my point of view. I'm a child psychiatrist. My interest is in teaching parents how they can save their child. I want parents to know the kinds of things they need, the bonding, the moral training, the protection from media, the downtime.
The key to good mental health and happiness is other people.
Dr. Drew Pinsky is a well-known television and radio personality and a psychiatrist who specializes in treating addiction. In Pinsky's book, called Cracked, Putting Broken Lives Together Again, he says every one of his patients is suffering from the same thing.
People they were reliant upon for their nurturance and well-being abandoned them, let them down, or exploited them, and made them feel powerless and worthless. And those experiences affect permanently the development of their brain.
And what's happening in our culture with absentee parenting, with mothers working and caretakers that may not be interested? What's happening? The ability to feel attachment, to have empathy, and to be human.
That's what's happening. We're losing that.
The joy in life, the real joy, comes from being able to love people and be in contact.
For both Dr. Pinsky and Dr. Shaw, nothing can replace the parent-child bond that is built in the first few years. For those of you who don't have children, the problems may seem simple or obvious, but they're not. When we come back, it takes a large family to make successful kids. We'll explain how one school is at the head of the class. They owe it all to a very special partnership.
The decision was how we're going to both work and still be able to be there for the kids because my son was so small. So he opted, he does days, and I got a job at night.
A very affluent lifestyle is wonderful, but it can't replace leaving the legacy of a child that succeeds.
Parenting takes much more than patience. It takes tremendous sacrifice. Some people don't realize it until it gets risky. Here's one school that not only supports parents who sacrifice, but requires their partnership. It's graduation day for this kindergarten class. Let me a happy day for them, but even happier for moms and dads who've had to make sacrifices to be better parents.
If I weren't involved with him, I don't think that he would have turned it around.
I know my older one tends to drift off, so if I wasn't there, I'm sure failing.
So stay involved, stay involved, stay involved.
These parents know firsthand their involvement in their children's education is key to their success, and the principal of their children's school is enforcing the partnership.
I look at the role as an administrator is to demand that parents take an interest in their child's education.
George Albano is principal of Lincoln School, located in Mount Vernon, New York. Albano believes parent-teacher relationships are making his urban kids smarter.
Every child in the school scored 98 to 99 percentile over the last 4 to 5 years.
I became divorced, and I thought, oh my goodness, now I have to go to work. I have to worry about my son getting to school. How is all this going to happen? And I would say my son is not going to be a statistic.
A single parent forced to work full-time, Joan Mead turned to the Lincoln School for help.
I'm not just saying this for the camera, but the school, Lincoln School, was a partner. And I think also at an early age, he might have seen that what I was going through, struggling a way to make sure that he was okay, because that was my primary concern.
William attended Lincoln 20 years ago, Principal Albano's first year, and partly because of the parent-school partnership, William set goals and accomplished a great deal.
Graduation day, when I stood there and I saw him, went to the MBA ceremony and then to the med school, and I said, job well done, my child. I cried. It was just unbelievable.
Right now, parents know that if their children are in a school, they're going to be actively involved, and we're going to work as a team.
The teacher, as soon as I went in for my teacher meet and greet, she said, Amanda's a wonderful student, but she has a problem.
I will not allow a report card to go home unless a parent comes in for a conference. You make time, and I'll be there to discuss your child's progress.
This conference was a wake-up call for Sharon Brunner. Solving her child's problem required changing her and her husband's lives.
Her math was suffering so bad that if she didn't pick it up, that she would not be able to take the 4th grade math test. If you don't pass that, from what I understand, you don't go on to the 5th grade. So, of course, I went home and I cried. The decision was, how are we going to both work and still be able to be there for the kids? My husband opted days, and I got a job at night. It's a hard decision to have to split it like that, because then the kids only get one of you at a time.
Pam Antunes made a big life change when she realized her youngest son needed more attention.
I just saw a lot of things happening in his behavior, in his speech, that he was picking up from some of the children in his pre-K class, and I wasn't around enough. Incomplete papers coming home all the time, and he wasn't grasping the letters. Then came the tears and the frustration and the yelling and the screaming at home, unfortunately. I made the conscious decision to leave my good job and stay home with them. We gave up a lot of extras that we had in our life for me to stay home.
Pam became a volunteer at the Lincoln School and worked closely with her son's teachers. The result of her sacrifice was more than she could have hoped for.
It took the whole package of home, parents, family, friends, school. He definitely turned himself around.
As a single parent, I always wanted my son to have male role models in his life, and I was very fortunate because he had wonderful teachers, wonderful coaches, and a very, very special man named Hal, who taught my son how to build model boats, and in the process taught him much, much more.
He taught me a lot about just craftsmanship and taking a certain amount of pride in the things that you do. I learned a lot about just making sure you keep your commitments to people, and what that, I think, to a kid, that's especially important.
He thought he had his life all under control. He had this dazzling career, and like so many of us who are so busy just getting by or chasing our dreams, what often gets by us is the care our children really need. You'll hear the price this father paid when we return. There's an expression that I like to use for my adult friends who are miserable about everything. And that expression is, it's never too late to have a happy childhood. But what is more important than that is what one parent recently told me. It's never too late to have a happy child, even in the most extreme cases. Joey Reynolds, an honored member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, is known as Mr. Nice Guy of night radio. Joey's daughter, Mercedes, is a recent graduate of the DeSisto School.
Well, I was skipping school, sneaking out really late out of the house.
She didn't like me. She was angry. She ran away twice.
I mean, my parents fought all the time. I was very violent, broke things all the time.
And she was lying. The same behavior I had when I was doing drugs and alcohol. And that was the most shame. That touched me inside because I knew where that was coming from.
For her and her father, divorce was a major factor affecting their behavior.
The family system crashed. The protection crashed. The whole concept crashed.
Then he tried to come in and parent me, and I rebelled against it because I thought he had no right.
She was not listening to anybody anymore, neither my wife nor myself, or my ex-wife.
He was never there, and then he wanted to tell me what to do and ground me, and so I didn't listen to him.
The way I structured it was whenever I wanted her to do something, I would take her shopping and get her something, or buying her something. You know, I'm buying her feelings. That's what it was. I'm buying her. And it hit me. It hit me hard. I says, I don't want to own this. It's not what I'm all about. I want unconditional love, not purchase love.
That was what you wanted.
Oh yeah, it was always about me. I mean, the all about me stuff didn't change until therapy. Believe me.
At the DeSisto School, therapy is integrated into the kids' daily life, and weekly group sessions are mandatory for their parents. Both Dr. Shaw and Dr. Pinsky believe therapy can give parents and their kids a second chance at bonding. Can you ever really learn to love? Can you ever fully recover from that?
That's really what therapy is very much focused on today.
Today, a child's media diet often consists of hours of TV, video games, and endless internet. If you think your kid is too plugged in, it's never too late to whoosh, pull the plug.
Babe.
Parents can no longer rely on the old TV family, the Cleavers, to influence their kids' values.
What is it? I'm a spendaholic, he's an alcoholic, my kids swear.
These days, the Osbournes are what many kids are watching, but some parents are turning it off. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the average youngster consumes over 6 hours of TV, movies, video games, and internet a day. TV intake alone is 4 hours a day, and 60% of kids have a TV set in their bedroom.
There is a significant amount of evidence that points to the fact that this will lead to less than optimal brain development.
Dr. Michael Rich is a pediatrician with Harvard University's Center on Media and Child Health. He's also the father of 3.
The newborn does not have any media exposure at all. The older kids use media in context with me. We co-view it, we discuss it.
One reason he limits their media consumption?
Children who watch television at the ages of 1 and 3 have a significantly increased risk of attention deficit at the age of 7.
Kids with this problem have a hard time concentrating and display impulsive behavior, and are often labeled with an attention deficit disorder. Many doctors prescribe Ritalin for ADD and ADHD. 6 million kids are on this medication in the U.S. alone. Some physicians, however, feel drugs may not be necessary.
ADHD is simply a concept of all the things that disrupt the classroom that was sold to teachers as a package that you could then simply diagnose and send the kid off to another specialist.
Dr. Peter Breggin, author of the Ritalin Fact Book, believes ADD and ADHD are excuses for poor parenting.
We do a lot of damage diagnosing children instead of helping them with their more obvious problems. And we have kids growing up now who literally think they have crossed wires and biochemical imbalances when all they had was a problem disciplining themselves.
All of our experts, parents, teachers, and kids agree. Raising children who are capable of bonding, of feeling empathy, of having moral conviction, and acting responsibly has to be our #1 priority. And that's a job not just for parents, but for us all. And it's a job, if done well, will have rewards that will outlive us all. I'm Judith Regan. Thanks for being here, and have a good night.
I'm Dan Rather.
I'm Bob Simon.
I'm Charlie Rose.
I'm Vicki Mabry.
I'm Mike Wallace.
I'm Ed Bradley.
I'm Scott Pelley. Those stories and Steve Hartman tonight on 60 Minutes Wednesday.
Tonight, Steve Hartman's back from covering a presidential election where the campaign season was short, and so were the candidates.
Because the presidential campaigns have been so darn nasty, this week I went looking for a different election to cover. I wanted to find a kinder, gentler election that could rekindle my faith in the democratic process.
Today is a very special event. We have the elections that are going to take place for student council.
I settled on the elections at Lincoln Elementary in Mount Vernon, New York, where these charming 6th graders were running for president. Lucas Oliveira, Diogenes Gama, and Nicole Vitiello. I was tickled to learn the biggest issue in this campaign is lunch, both the quality, or lack thereof, and quantity.
Cookies last year, it was 4 for $1, now it's only 3. I don't know why.
The lunches, that's just gross. It's like, okay, it's gross. I need your vote.
They really are sweet little campaigners.
Here's a lollipop.
But I also noticed this surprising tendency to go negative.
Me and Diogenes are like best friends, and we're running against each other, so we have to turn into worse friends.
Remember, my name is Diogenes, okay? Vote for me.
It's kind of scary what they pick up from the candidates on television. Even Lucas's service as a hall guard has been called into question.
All you have to do is wake up 7:30 in the morning, come here and open the door.
So you're downplaying his service?
Yeah.
Is it true that your dad got you out of the hall guard?
No.
The kids have also learned the art of the empty promise.
I'll reduce the prices and water, snacks, and everything.
There's gonna be lots and lots of days where you're gonna get either free stuff or there's gonna be lucky days.
No homework on the weekends, okay?
The whole campaign had left a bad taste in my mouth, and not just from the nachos. But then the votes came in. The winner was Lucas. Lucas went home after the election and wrote his acceptance speech. And here's where this story gets really good. In his speech, he talked about how disappointed he was with all the negativity. He apologized and offered to share his presidency with the other 2 candidates. I guess I found my kinder, gentler election after all.
Well, the State Education Commissioner wants to know how a school in Mount Vernon is achieving its success. Today, Richard Mills toured the Lincoln Elementary School, where students have aced state tests for the 5th year in a row. The commissioner spent a couple of hours there this morning at the elementary school, which is located at 170 East Lincoln Avenue in Mount Vernon. News 12 Westchester's Lauren Brown picks up the story from there.
What are the important parts? Why can't all public schools in New York State be more like Lincoln Elementary School in Mount Vernon? That's the question State Commissioner Richard Mills wants to figure out.
Oh, that's interesting. Look at the
Mills went classroom to classroom Monday celebrating the school's academic record in state testing. He also was there to learn from their accomplishments.
There's a very rigorous curriculum here. I want to see it. They're very well-prepared teachers, and I want to see them. There must be a special relationship between the school and the parents. I want to get a sense of that.
This is the 5th year the elementary school has reached or exceeded state standards in academic testing across the board. And officials explain it's an especially tall order in an urban district.
Every child at Lincoln, whether they be African American, white, Hispanic, socioeconomically deprived or not, have all scored in all academic subjects, that's science, math, social studies, and English language arts, all in the high 98th percentile.
This is one of 4,000 schools in the state, but why can't they all be more like this?
School officials say there are a number of factors that go into making a successful school. They include dedicated teachers, innovative curriculum, and organization at the top.
I believe our success is attributed, number one, to effective leadership.
Clearly, a number of ingredients in place here that make for a successful recipe, a recipe that the commissioner would like to use at other public schools throughout the state. In Mount Vernon, Lauren Brown, News 12 Westchester.
Market Watch Weekend is brought to you by Oppenheimer Funds, the right way to invest. On Market Watch Weekend, classrooms, chalkboards, and computers. Find out why technology is giving some teachers the back-to-school blues. Welcome to Market Watch Weekend. I'm Alexis Christoforous. For most of us, Labor Day weekend signals the end of summer and the start of a new school year. But reading, writing, and arithmetic won't be the only things on educators' minds. So will the debate over teaching with technology. A survey out last week showed that 70% of teachers believe computers are important drivers of education. 60% of teachers say classroom computers actually improve academic performance, and 61% say they don't have enough computers in their classroom. So why is federal funding shrinking when it comes to technology? Paul Lynn reports.
This is Lincoln Elementary School in Mount Vernon, run by Principal George Albano. His school is in one of the poorest districts in a largely comfortable Westchester County just outside New York City. Albano, over 27 years, has sought to level the playing field for his kids, many getting full scholarships to private schools and Ivy League colleges. Technology has been key to doing that.
And they are exposed to the most sophisticated science, English language arts activities, math activities, because of the technology that I've managed to bring into the school.
No, two the same size. Very good.
Lincoln gets little government money, so Albano's made innovative deals to get new PCs into the school.
The iMac computer lab that was totally donated by an exclusive private school in New York City, Horace Mann.
Entrepreneurial spirit goes a long way at a time when the U.S. government wants to cut technology funding to schools. Surprising, since last year, President Bush put school technology grants front and center as part of No Child Left Behind, asking for almost $700 million. This year's request? Zero. And Congress is expected to appropriate a fraction of what got approved in 2005. Politicians say they can't see how technology helps kids learn. That's a world apart from what many educators believe, and they've been voting with their checkbooks. Last quarter, computer sales to schools came to $1.6 billion. That's more than 12% of all PC shipments, most of it going to higher ed. The real losers here are K through 12. PC shipments there dropped right along with federal funding. Even so, there's good reason for tech companies to target educators.
The simple rationale, I think, is to try to brand things early, try to get kids and students involved with your equipment in the hopes that they will stick with it throughout life. And I think that tends to work pretty well.
Technology companies want a bigger piece of the education market that Apple once dominated decades ago. Thanks to a cost-conscious academic world, Dell is now on top. Apple, though, is closing the gap, at least in K through 12. Analysts credit Apple's iPod success and new eMac for schools for the company gaining more than 21% of K through 12. But its market share is half that when you look at sales to colleges and universities, where Dell takes a commanding lead, almost 60% share, winning more business by marketing to college IT departments. HP is third. HP says technology measurably helped Michigan 8th graders at one middle school more than double their math scores in state tests early this year versus last fall. At Lincoln School, it's more than great test scores educators are after. They say technology helps kids grow.
Programs like this that these children are working on helps prepare the children for ELA, math, science, social studies assessments. You want to bring children up, give them the technology, give them the tools. It helps them. Ask any parent, ask any child that uses it.
So if technology spending helps kids improve learning, why has federal funding shrunk? It's a bipartisan political minefield. The White House declined an interview with the president for this report, referring me to the White House Office of Management and Budget. OMB spokesman Scott Milburn says school technology funding has been cut because it's hard to measure the results. U.S. Department of Education spokesman Jim Bradshaw says schools have more technology than they did a few years ago, so grants can be cut. As for the kids at Lincoln Elementary, They only have what they have thanks to dedicated administrators and not much from federal funding.
How many flowers are there?
I'm Paul Lynn for Market Watch in New York.